it is, I mean, the 90% rule says focus only on those things that are 90% or above important. That is, if it's not a clear yes, it becomes a clear no. So that's like an extreme rule to try and help us escape the tendency to do just the good stuff or the middle stuff, is be more selective. But over the last 10 years, something I have come to observe and believe is that we have only enough time left to do the 90% and above. Mm-hmm. And that's the tougher aha. Because you say, oh, every time I'm doing something that's just good or completely trivial, I am making a trade-off I would probably not make if they were really placed in front of me as choices.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, nobody on their deathbed says, oh, I just should have spent a bit more time scrolling on Instagram. You know, that's what I wish I'd done. Like, it's obvious. But this is the nature, I think, of the noise, and the deafening nature of it is that we don't see the signal, we don't hear the signal in the noise. And so everything starts to seem equally important, where the reality is always that a very few things are, I mean, like something like this, infinitesimally small things, but infinitely important. And that's in every human system, in every set of data, in every set of tasks, there is something that is so much more important than everything else. But you have to really work to get to it. You know, it's a little like the you know, thinking that you know, a lot of the productivity language and focus has been around how do you do more? How can you be more efficient? And so on. And fine, okay, I don't think about what I do as like that, but that's more like thinking you're in a coal mine your whole life and then waking up one morning and going, oh, I never have been in a coal mine. It's always been a diamond mine. Well, how would that shift all of your behavior? I have to operate differently now. I have to get really good at finding the diamonds, pausing, thinking, reflecting, exploring, pushing everything aside that isn't the diamond. Well, that's just not, I'm not going to focus on that. I need to find the thing that really matters. And I don't know why it's the case, but I absolutely observe like it's a reality in all human systems and all circumstances that you have. I think about it now like an onion of human systems. You have the noise and trivia at the edge. As you move in, you get towards a bit more important. It's a little more, it's a, you know, you have to be a little more careful around it because it's a little more intimate. And then at the very center of it, you have things that are so vulnerable and so disproportionately important. They're everything. This is how I think it is. I think that's true in a personal life. I think it's true in a relationship. I think it's true on a team, an organization, country. At every level of a human system, this strange phenomenon seems to exist. And so once you discover that, once you understand that, I think your life changes completely, irrevocably. At least that's what happened to me.
I don't see myself fully satisfied, if that's maybe a shorter answer, because I have that part of me which is like, I think I can still do more. But the other side of me is like, of course I'm happy and I'm proud, and in a way I can't wait one day for me to reflect on everything. But while I'm still in my active career, I don't have time. Tennis has the longest season of all sports. Starts January, ends almost end of November. And of course, I earn my right in a way to be selective with tournaments where I play. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not playing as much, focusing on the big ones. And I'm trying to incorporate all of these other things inside of my career and basically expand the platform and use my voice for other things than just the tennis court. And I'm, super blessed to be in the position that I am. But as I said, it's a constant journey and process.
Imagine how good you could be if you actually woke up on a morning and were excited for what you were about to do.
Like it was and that might just be a time thing. Like there's a video of Seinfeld in an interview, and I don't know if I'd call him the greatest source of whatever, but he's like, back in the 90s, back in the 80s, the flex was like, what do you do for work? And that's a little different because, inflation and, whatever. But at the time, at least, it was, oh, this guy has a cooler job than me. Oh, this guy works at a guitar shop. That's cool. I'm a freaking accountant. That's just paper, everything. And it's it's very monetarily driven. Like, it's one of the three classics. It's like sex, drugs, and money. That's, monetized social media-wise in its own way, the sex side. But in regular Instagram, and when it comes to, or at least the money side, that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to be an interesting guy at all. If you get your hands on a super fancy car and make some videos about it, you didn't even have to, you could know someone who had it and he'd let you, and that's your whole gimmick. Just the fact that you have something this valuable. And for me, I'm like, that sucks. Like you didn't do anything to get that. And the ones that did, well, they don't even care to show it off because they are kind of, comfortable enough with wherever they're at, where it's like guys who say, oh, dude, I'm gonna do a bodybuilding show. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be the next whoever. My thought on that is always, you're trying to essentially argue your case to the universe. And internally in your mind, that, kind of idea to want to propel, like convince everyone you can do it, may come from an internal doubt of, I don't know if I can do it, but I want to do it. I don't know if I can do it. I'm going to tell everyone I can do it, and then maybe I'll be able to convince myself. So it's not bad to want to say that and then still really go after it.
I think it's understanding there's no replacement for persistence, as simplistic as that is. It's like, disappointment either destroys you or drives you, and you have to decide which one it's going to be. If you don't consciously decide, there's always going to be more BS for you to deal with. And I think, but that's why I think, when I do my events, the reason I do the 12 hours a day, it's not because I like talking. It's just that I can tell you something all day long, or I can get you to build the muscle.
Yes.
And the build of muscle is by experiencing. And I always tell people, a belief's a poor substitute for an experience. Like I could have a belief about you, but now I experience you. So I get to know who you are, right? The same thing's true as like you have a belief about China, you have a belief about working out. So I try to give people experiences that are so profound. And then, the studies they did, they found people 12 months later, 11 months later, we're still in the middle of COVID. They did my digital seminar, and they measured my body, like the amount of times I jump 1,000 times in a day, and I weigh 282 pounds, and I come down 4 times the body weight, so it's 1,000 pounds times 1,000 pounds of pressure. My lactic acid, if you've ever been with a friend and you're running and you can't talk, the point you can't talk is the level 4 of lactic acid. I'm at an 18 and still speaking. So they decided to do that on my audience. And they found an interesting pattern. This is the same group that works with some of the, Super Bowl champions and some of the Stanley Cup champions and so forth. There's a ratio in the body of testosterone versus cortisol, the stress hormone. And when the ratio is balanced, they call it the championship bloodline or bloodstream. It literally gets you to follow through. So when they did my audience in my live seminar, they found that people literally mirror me all the way through the experience.
It's never too late. I've seen so many examples of people doing amazing stuff, starting in their 50s, 60s, 70s. Jim Collins, actually, his new book, I don't know if it's out yet, but What to Make of a Life, profiles something like 30 people. And these are incredible examples of success, and a lot of them did their most important work in their 50s, 60s, and 70s.
And it's both. It's like there's times in life where thinking what you do matters is everything.
Yeah.
And then there's times in life that embracing your own insignificance
Yeah.
is the only way to function.
Yeah, there's a great Bertrand Russell quote. It's along the lines of, the sure sign of impending nervous breakdown is taking one's work incredibly seriously. Something like that. I'm butchering it, but it's very close.
Yeah, I like that.
And the dose makes the poison, right? Like you have to believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, kind of recognize like we're all in the Mo show here.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. As the Buddha would say, hold it. You have to hold the bird in your hand, but not too tightly. So you hold it too tightly, you suffocate it. But if you don't hold it at all, then you can't help it. And so it's hard. It's hard. And you're always going to go in between.
Yeah, you got to crush a few birds first and let a few go to figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah. Sadly.